Welcome back to the Midday Show. My guests today are the host and co-host of the Horatio podcast, and one of them was a cast member on SNL for many, many seasons. Please welcome Chad Krueger and Mr. Horatio Sanz. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today?
We're doing great, thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show. I want to ask you how you guys teamed up.
Well, Horatio and I, this is Chad. Horatio and I toured together at the Second City back in the 90s for a couple of years together, so we became friends there. And then when I moved out to California, he wanted to do a podcast, I wanted to produce one, and there we go.
Simple as that. And it's the Horatio, which because we've been trying to schedule this interview since before we started the season, and I only got the joke a few weeks ago when I actually saw that Horatio was your name.
Yeah, I know, it's almost too clever for its own good.
Yeah. How did you come up with that name? I'm really curious about that.
It's something I've had in my head for a while. Horatio being my name, and it's also a good name for a show.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we'll say in the spirit of hooray, which means in the spirit of good times and good energy. Positive vibes. Yeah. So basically it's just a little thing I had in my head, a little joke, and then I thought it would be a great name for this thing.
How long have you been doing the Horatio?
Almost a year now.
Almost a year, coming up on the 1 year anniversary. As you approach that, looking back, what's the biggest thing you've learned since a year ago?
What have you learned, Raj? What have I learned? I guess for this is a pretty simple thing, but I've just learned that what I'm strong with, as far as the improv that goes into the show. So sometimes if I have a guest that's not an improviser, I'm not as strong. So mostly we just try to, we just keep experimenting and seeing what works, and that's the key word. Is we're always experimenting and trying new things, and I've gotten better as an interviewer, and because I've had to, but still, those things that make our show interesting is when I get to improvise with people that I find are good improvisers. I think what I've learned is when I was first starting to edit the show together, I was a little rusty on my editing skills, so that's gotten a lot better. And then also, I've always said that, I get to make the show that I would want to listen to. And I think I've learned a lot from fans of podcasts just by reading different forums and blogs and things like that of what really sticks out and what jumps out to them. And the things that other people like about the show, I don't necessarily, it wouldn't have stuck out to me, but that's been the biggest thing I've learned is that you can find that sort of magic anywhere, for lack of a better word. I hate that magic, but sometimes it's there where I don't even see it. So I have to really listen a lot harder, I think, than I did originally.
Of course. And of course, SNL, this is a big time for you in, of course, the holiday season, Horatio, because, of course, you have probably one of the best SNL Christmas songs of all time.
Yeah, well, it's very nice. I don't get paid for it, but it's been used in commercials. And I kind of like it. I like hearing it. Eventually, there's going to be a Muzak version of it, probably in elevators. They still do Muzak? Yeah, I think so. But it was in a Lexus commercial last year. It's always a possibility for SNL. So it's always kind of a fun thing. It's usually included in holiday specials and stuff. So it's becoming its own little carol.
And we actually played. Yeah, we actually played the Julian Casablancas version early in the show.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a great cover.
Yeah, and I remember you and Jimmy Fallon performed it on late night, and then it went into Julian Casablancas performing it live with the Roots, and I just thought, this is amazing, because...
Yeah, he was, it's funny, because I guess in England there's a big thing about having the number one Christmas song at Christmas. It's kind of like a badge of honor. So American groups and other groups are trying to get this little thing. And so he asked me a few years, even before we did it, not before we did the thing, but before they did it, because he always wanted to cover it. At the time, I thought he was joking, but then, 5 years later, there it is.
It's a good version.
Yeah, Yeah, I really like it. I love the stroke, so it's a win-win.
If because you played so many characters and so many sketches, what's the one sketch people yell at you on the street about?
Usually there's three I get a lot. One, I think I'll go 3, 2, 1. The third one would be Cork Soakers. My favorite. Number 2 would be, this is a tough one. Number 2 would be Cowbell. Gotta have it. And number 1 is Debbie Downer.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Lindsay Lohan one, because that one's my favorite, Debbie Downer.
Yeah, and I'm really not playing characters. Well, I am. I guess it's not. Cork Cowbell and Cork Soakers. Okay, yeah, but it's not like a recurring thing. Like none of those were recurring. Maybe that's why they're my favorite. They stand out.
And of course, SNL 40th happened earlier this year, and that must have just been a crazy experience just to be in that room.
Well, yeah, anytime you're at a fun party like that, especially that one, because people just, they just kind of felt happy to be there, like they were happy to be invited. So a lot of the hosts and the musicians were kind of just, they were game. And so that's why the party ended up being so much fun, is because Prince got up on stage, and I forget who else, but
I think Fallon, Taylor Swift, Paul McCartney.
Prince was like, yeah, I'll go there, and yeah, Fallon jumped on stage, and then later he's like, you should come on stage. I was like, oh, I don't know. I think you and Prince had it covered. Yeah, and seeing all the old cast members, it definitely made me feel very proud of being part of that whole family.
And when you speak of that family, and I think every cast of almost every show, well, of course, the ones that we know about that had trouble, but I feel like with you, there's every few years with SNL especially, there's that cast that everybody talks about, and I feel like when you were in that time, that was the cast everybody was talking about.
Well, Brandon, how old are you?
I'm 20.
You're 20. My theory on that is that the cast that you grew up with in high school is always going to be your cast.
Definitely.
So that would be the perfect age for you, because that's when Horatio was on the show. Like, for me, growing up, it was Dana Carvey and Mike Myers and those guys.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I guess the fact that they still play Our Years a lot on VH1, it's kind of because there's just such a great cast, including Will Ferrell, obviously, that they play those a lot on VH1. So I think sometimes we get a little more credit than the other seasons or eras. But yeah, when I was growing up, I mean, I loved the first one. My favorite were the first, and then probably in the '85 crew became my favorite. Not it would be Mike Myers, Dana Carvey. Oh yeah, I guess Bill Harvey. Yeah, Bill Harvey. Farley, just Mike Myers. Yeah, Nora Dunn.
Because your cast was the I think it was the later years of your tenure was the cast I was introduced to. Because my first SNL DVD that I got, and I kind of got it on a whim, was the SNL commercials.
Oh, right.
And it was.
Was I in that?
Yeah, you were in that many times.
Oh shit! I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it was really. It was It had you Sudeikis made it in there. Seth Meyers made it in there. Amy Poehler. It was I think around maybe 2006 when it was 2005 or 2006 when it was released.
Okay, so that was your first introduction?
Yeah, that was my first introduction to like really what SNL was all about, because I've heard about it and I would stay up late like twice and ask my mom if I could watch it, and I've heard of it, but I didn't know what it was until around then.
And have you gone back, and it's really hard not to interview him right now, have you gone back and explored like the original cast and things like that?
Oh, definitely. I'm a giant fan of SNL. That's why it's such an honor to be interviewing a cast member.
Well, great, thank you.
Yeah, and you were mentioned in the 40th at once, well, many times at once, in the And That's When You Break Digital Short. Did you have any idea that was coming?
No, I didn't know what it was going to be, but the Long Island guys came up to me beforehand and were like, we did a little thing, we hope you don't mind, or, they're kind of like giving me a heads up and not telling me what it was. And I was watching the show from Daryl's dressing room, and it came on, and, I was floored. I thought it was great.
And that's...
It was sung by Sandler and what's his name? I forget. Andy Samberg. They sang a song about me and Jimmy breaking.
Yeah.
Which was just great. I really liked it.
And that's a perfect place to end this first segment. We'll be right back with more of Horatio Sanz and Chad Krueger here on the Midday Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Midday Show. I'm here with the great Horatio Sanz and the also great Chad Krueger. Right now, guys, we're going to do the fun down, which is 7 questions, particularly tailored to the best of my ability for you guys. Here we go. You kind of mentioned before, but what's your favorite SNL character, Horatio? And Chad, you can chime in as well.
Of mine or the history of the
show? Of yours that you've did.
Well, a lot of them were fun. Some of the ones that were very weird, I kind of tend to like the most. So I did this guy who had been shot in the back at a pharmacy, and so he had to wheel around in one of those little rascals. I was very happy that they let that on television.
I'm laughing. That just premise this sounds hilarious for some reason. Do you mean like the little kind of motor scooter things?
Yeah, and I'd always tell people I got shot in the back, and it's still not. I was still a good lover. I would do that, and then.
Okay. Now the second question is what you mentioned. Your favorite SNL character of all time.
All time. You know what? Anything Eddie Murphy did for me, like Gumby and Mr. Rogers or Mr. Robinson.
Oh, same here.
They're just you can't top those. Or Belushi and the Samurai stuff. But I was gonna probably try to think of one of those. Like Belushi, and then a lot of stuff was kind of my favorite.
Definitely. And here's just a random one. A word that rhymes with Sands.
Sand.
Very good.
Did you say Sands or Sand?
Sands, as in your last name. Bands. Very good. Your favorite exclamatory word besides hooray?
We can't say it on the college radio station. Maybe awesome?
Awesome. Perfect.
Awesome. I actually say amazeballs. I don't know if you can put that on the show, but amazeballs is my go-to. I usually say Kuno versus Frankenstein. It's long, but it gets the point across.
I say amazeballs too, so we're in similar company. Yes.
Wow.
I did an internship at this radio station here in town, and it wasn't amazeballs, but I said awesome sauce, and one of the DJs was like, really, dude? Really? Awesome sauce? So.
Cool. Yeah, awesome sauce is a little bit 5 years ago. Amazeballs kind of replaced it. So that'll be out in a while, and they'll have to come up with something else.
Yeah. So, amazeballs from now on. Stand-up, sketch, or improv? Which one is your favorite? Improv. It's so funny. We're only a few minutes in, but we're almost at the last question, and we'll just talk more after that. Favorite SNL musical guest?
Well, my favorite band is Radiohead, and they played when I was there, and I got to see them play from the back wall, kind of just me there when they were on TV. So that was my favorite, and at the time, Tom York ripped apart. He pulled out a sign that said "Let Nader debate." Oh yeah, and he tore it in half like Sinead O'Connor. Yeah. And I ended up picking that up, so I have that.
That's
for me, it was really cool. I got to go when Horatio was in the cast. I went to see the show It was a Christmas show, actually, and Al Gore was the host, and Fish was the musical guest. And I'm a huge Fish head.
Was that in 2002? Because if it was in 2002, that episode aired on my birthday. I had no idea it aired until I looked it up, but that episode aired on my birthday.
Yeah, that was such a great episode. I loved everything about that, and getting to hang out with Fish at the after party, and the after party, and the after party was pretty slick in my book.
And before we go to question number 7, those after parties at SNL, they're legendary. What is it like? Is it for you when you were in the cast? Was it just like, oh, okay, another after party? It was like, yes, the famous SNL after party, and I get to go again.
What's that?
Like, was the SNL after party like as amazing as everybody says it was, or was it just kind of like, okay, another after party, here we go again?
Well, when I was a kid and I was growing up and loving the show, I always fantasized about what the after party was like, because Belushi and Aykroyd would first throw those at their club. They had like a blues club, little hangout, and so I always heard about those crazy parties. And so when I got a chance to be there, I was like, well, me and Jimmy, we really wanted a place to hang out, so we kind of started it again, the after party, and the after party got to be such a success that we had to start later because people were leaving the actual party to go to the after party and not staying long enough. So in its heyday, it was definitely worth it. And, I was very drunk and having a great time, so those parties are a lot more fun than they probably were. One of the coolest things when I visited Horatio in 2002, and that I didn't know, which is awesome, is that NBC gives everybody in the cast their own limousine and driver for the night, so you're not driving around New York drunk or whatever. So we had this limo till like 9 in the morning, I think, that night. Yeah, which is it's a great perk of being in SNL is you get your own limo at the end of the show. And so sometimes if the show is going well, we used to have a great time. Sometimes if the show wasn't going well, I would just take the car and go around Manhattan and have a six-pack. But yeah, the after parties were as fun as they've been described, as advertised, yeah.
That's good. Your favorite way to have fun, just in general, when you need to have fun, what do you do?
That's a very good question. I guess what I've been doing periodically on and off is karaoke. And performing, but that doesn't really count. But karaoke is kind of a fun thing that kind of doesn't have anything to do with my business.
That's a good answer. I did karaoke. I went on a cruise and I did karaoke, and for some reason, looking back on it, that's the thing I regretted the most.
Are you a good singer?
Kind of.
Let's hear a little bit.
Censored material that we can't play due to the copyright. If I sing it, well, we can play it because it's music. See, that's just bad singing because I didn't know what to sing. But
Well, what was the bad thing? What happened that night?
No, nothing. It's just I didn't know because I like most performers. I'm critical of myself, so.
Oh, okay. So you were kind of good, maybe.
Yeah, I was kind of good. Yeah, I think I was.
Raisin, come here. Be on the interview. That's the famous Raisin the dog. He was barking at. I'm like, come here, Raisin.
And a dog has joined the interview, everybody. It's a Midday Show first.
Raisin the dog. You'll hear him on every Horatio podcast, available at horatio.com. Horatio.com. Horatio.com.
And while we're doing plugs, where can people find you guys on the tweets?
On what?
The tweets, the Twitter.
At Horatio. At Horatio, and also Mr. Horatio Sanz. And Chatty Chew. And Chatty Chew, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
My Instagram is Mr. Sanz, MR Sanz.
Awesome. And Sanz with a Z, everybody. S-A-N-Z.
Exactly.
He's
right, Tarzan.
Yes, exactly. We're gonna wrap up in just a few minutes, and I want to say thank you before we completely end. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I'll ask one more question, and that was maybe your favorite or funniest SNL moment? Because, of course, I know I've been talking about SNL so much, but it was such an integral show to me, and I know probably for you and so many other people in the world. What was your favorite or funniest SNL moment?
Well, I think my favorite moment was when I got to do a scene with Bill Murray, because he wasn't the star of the scene, and he kind of just was very gracious and let me be the star of this crazy scene. And, he's definitely in the top 5 of my all-time heroes. So that sketch, Buried My Parents, is probably my favorite moment.
You have one, Chad?
My favorite SNL moment?
Yeah, maybe from just one you've watched, or maybe when you were there.
When you did Blow the Tree, right? Yeah, the after party was pretty killer. Well, I think in hindsight, getting to see Horatio and Jimmy and Catan and Tracy Morgan do the Christmas song that night live was pretty cool. Watching him and Jimmy do Jared's Room with Fish the Band was pretty cool from when I was there. I think all time, though, God, that's tough. Jeez, all time funniest. I got to go back to high school and all those great scenes. I mean, I just remember, me and my cousins running around saying, "Isn't that special?" All the time. I mean, this stuff was so hilarious to me.
Well, isn't that special?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you do a great Dana Carvey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so just so it goes down in history books, Chad's favorite bit is Church Lady. Yeah, Dana Carvey's got a new book out, by the way, available at bookstores everywhere. While we're doing plugs, we'll just plug Dana Carvey's book. Does he have a book? Yeah, he does. Oh, good. That'd be a good one. I love Dana Carvey.
I love Dana Carvey, too. I will get that book. And you everybody at home or wherever you are, listen to the Horatio, horatio.com. Stay tuned for Carson Daily. Thank you so much for being here. Chad Krueger, Horatio Sanz. We'll see you next time.